で船行清は、珍しくある本にこういうことを書いてありましたね。船行清なんかこう苦難を克服した場合にこ
うおもちゃのお金を使っておもちゃのお金集めてで、ライフイベント
客室内であらかじめマナーモードに切り替えていただき、通話の際はご面倒ですが電気でお願いいたします。皆様のご理解とご協力をお願いいたします。特急南部1号高知行きです。次は小島に停まります。
This is the Nampu Limited Express bound for Kochi. The next stop will be Kojima. Thank you.
ご乗車ありがとうございます。特急南部1号高知行きです。次の停車駅宇多津です。特急高知行き発車です。ドア閉まります。次は宇多津です。
ご乗車ありがとうございます。次は2つに停まります。The next stop will be Utatsu. Thank you.
次
案内をいたします。ただいま左側に見えております川が四国空論の名で知られる雪の川です。この辺りから約8キロにわたり登山線で最も景色が美しいところです。ただいまご覧いただいているのが小ボケ峡です。長い年月、水による浸食で変化に富んだ渓谷美を作り出しています。しばらくして列車が鉄橋を渡りますと、
特急高知行き発車です。特急高知行き発車です。発車します。ドア閉まります。
When the time is right and I'm not alone, I will conquer this and bring you home. When this world has stopped and the breeze is served, when the time is right, I'll sing you a song. Hey, I'll sing you a song. Hey, I'll sing you a song. When the horn don't blow and I'm not alone, I will conquer this and bring you home. When this world has stopped and the breeze is served, when the time is right, I'll sing you a song. Hey, I'll sing you a song. Hey, I'll sing you a song. When the horn don't blow, but now you're grateful and singing along. Hey, you're singing along. Hey, you're singing along. Hey, we're singing a song. Hey, we're singing a song. We get it right, yeah.
手がめっちゃ、あ、じゃあリンクが入ってる。じゃあ撮りますよ。
今日は今宮神社の節分祭にようこそお越しくださいました。ありがとうございます。今宮神社というのはものすごい古い歴史がありまして、神様のご神徳は商売繁盛、縁結び、病気平癒です。今日は今宮神社のご神徳をお持ち帰りいただきたいと思います。そしてなんといっても熱海富士関お越しくださいました。いいですか、今から熱海富士関のインタビューをしたいと思います。耳を澄ませてくださいね。熱海富士関、今回本当に頑張られました。皆さんに、この大ファンの皆さんに一言いただけますでしょうか。
皆さんこんばんは。そうですね、先場所を見ていただいた方もそうでもない方も、そうですね、こうやって今宮神社に3年ぶりに帰ってこられてすごい嬉しいです。そうですね、今日は皆さんと一緒に福を分けて、これからの1年をいいものにしていけたらなと思います。またこれからみんなで頑張っていきましょう。
ありがとうございます。それではいつもは宮司が福は内と言いますけれど、今日はやはり熱海富士関に福は内を始めてもらいたいと思います。いいですか。ちなみにですね、神社には鬼はいませんので、福は内のみの掛け声で参りたいと思います。いきますよ。
いきます。福は内。
first time I saw you, I was so nervous to talk. Happened so fast, went from so lonely to falling asleep in your arms. I used to be afraid to fall in love. My past relationship was a disaster, but now I don't care. 'Cause you took my scars, bruises and broken heart, numbed all the pain, show me how to heal, and now I don't feel broken anymore. Still got your smell wrapped in my bed sheets. Don't wanna wash it away. I know sometimes I get too caught up in all of the wrong things, but you're always there to guide me. I used to be afraid to fall in love. A past relationship was a disaster, but now I don't care. 'Cause you took my scars, bruises and broken heart, numbed all the pain, show me how to heal, and now I don't feel broken anymore. I used to be afraid until I met you. I was insecure, caught up in the pain, but you showed me how to heal. Took my scars, bruises and broken heart, numbed all the pain, show me how to heal, and now I don't feel broken anymore. Numbed all the pain, show me how to heal, and now I don't feel broken anymore.
大丈夫やった携帯。
Wanna be free of this heart, yeah. Wanna feel your arms around me. I need you more, need you here, more than I would like to admit. Let's forget about tomorrow, yeah. Should I hide away forever? Should I close my eyes and never again hold you tight, call you mine, think about you every time I remember that it's over, yeah. You never break, you never lie, you're never ever scared of the dark. So why am I the one who cries? I'm so afraid to be left behind. Think about you a lot. It's almost like I can't stop, can't stop, yeah. You never lose an argument, so I've been trying hard to pretend that I'm okay. It's just a phase, and everything is going just great. I think about you a lot. It's almost like I can't stop, yeah, yeah. I always knew that this would happen, yeah. You would find a new distraction. I need you more, need you here, more than I would like to admit. Can we let go of tomorrow, yeah. You never break, you never lie, you're never ever scared of the dark. So why am I the one who cries? I'm so afraid to be left behind. I think about you a lot. It's almost like I can't stop, yeah, yeah. You never lose an argument, so I've been trying hard to pretend that I'm okay. It's just a phase, and everything is going just great. I think about you a lot. It's almost like I can't stop, yeah, yeah. It's almost like I can't stop. Yeah, yeah. Can't stop. Think about you a lot. It's almost like I can't stop. I can't stop. Can't stop. Can't stop.
카메라目線いらないです